Yeah. Hello. This is Evan Says, and I guess this is what this new podcast was all about, is when stuff like this happens. You have to say what you need to say. And he was not perfect, but Hulk Hogan was like the thing I ran on growing up. Oh man, into like my teens. It's like the story I would tell everyone is, I had a bar mitzvah on Long Island, and every centerpiece was going to be a team from New York sports scene, whether it was like the Knicks on this table or the Jets on this table. And I didn't have a team as my centerpiece. My centerpiece was Hulk Hogan. And he was just such a constant in my life, just winning the Wrestlemania after Wrestlemania, holding the titles, and just, I didn't even go to that many shows or see that many pay-per-views, but I don't know, he was just a presence. And I would have a variety of different Hulk Hogan figures. I have this shirt I got like when he came back in 2002. I also got this one in Clearwater. This is his Immortal shirt from the beach house, his beach shop. I think it was at Mandalay, whatever street that is. Man, I'm lucky because I don't have a lot of big losses in my life. Like I have my parents, I have my kids, I have, aunts and uncles, but for the most part. But this one hits like one of those. Biggest loss I probably had before him was a friend I had growing up who maybe died 10 years ago. But yeah, it's just, everyone's doing their thing on social media. They're posting their photo with him and they're saying what he meant to him. And, it's like, yes, you got Theo from the Cosby Show, you got Ozzy, and now you got Hulk, and it's like, it happens in threes. But like Hogan is someone I've thought about him every day. I never got a chance to meet him. The closest I got to meeting him, all my friends met him, like in Clearwater. Like he lived in Clearwater Beach, and he'd go shopping for food, like at Nature's Food Patch. And I'd always get stories of friends like, hey, I ran into Hulk there. He was great. He was a nice guy. And there was a time or two I would go there just seeing, like, is he there now? But he wasn't there. The closest I got to meeting Hulk Hogan in 2008, there was a TV taping for Country Music Television, Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling. This is like a warehouse in like Carson, California, like, south of LA a little bit. And, he's there on like the dais with maybe Eric Bischoff and Jimmy Hart. And like, we have these, these outcast kind of celebrities competing as wrestlers. And I saw a really good match between Dustin Diamond and Danny Bonaducci. And this was all under Hulk Hogan's umbrella. And it was just, he got to like, cast out people when they weren't good enough. But that was the closest I got to be in the same venue as him and be like 40 feet away from me. It was cool. It was cool to have that. It sucks I never got to meet him, never got to shake his hand, never got to thank him. Probably this is like one of the days like I've been dreading. I always been dreading this and like, I'm not even going to say who else I'd freak out about, but knock on wood, knock on everything. But he was like a constant. Like I was just always, when it was towards the end of his WWE run, they made it sound like he'd get injured and he'd go away for a while and maybe he would come back, maybe he wouldn't come back. And that's when I stopped watching. Like I know Yokozuna squashed him pretty good and then he went away. I know The Undertaker beat him at like a Tuesday in Texas event. Then he went away. I know Earthquake, that guy squashed him. Then Hogan went away and like his ribs were like destroyed or something. But man, that guy's body has been through the ringer, and all the broken bones and like all the back surgeries and all like the stem cell stuff he needed to keep himself going. He had it. He had some tough things to come up against while working with Vince McMahon to make wrestling what it is and almost like to make me who I am. And then when his WWE reign ended the first time and he went to WCW, became a bad guy. I wasn't really watching that, but I knew it was like, it was the biggest thing in wrestling at the time. And we've kind of seen a little bit of that with John Cena turning, but you know, John Cena's in the same company and they're probably timing it out in a way where he may start to turn back before we get close to the end. But with Hogan, he went to a different place, different persona, and totally redefined the game and tapped into like all those fans that like love the anti-hero and the bad guy and just like, you know, burning it all down. And he was able to do that. And then he came back. He came back to WWE with the NWO. And I'm going to share this. Let me see if I can share this. This is the clip that like, I don't think I was ever more into a match than during the match in Toronto at WrestleMania against The Rock. And like, I knew it was like near impossible that Hulk was going to win, but this is a clip that made me believe. So I'm going to see how I play this from Twitter. I think Brian Gewirtz shared this. He's like works for The Rock's production company, but let me play it. Former writer for WWE. But that was like, I feel like, yes, usually you go to the crowd. You go to the crowd sometimes to see how's the match going, how should we change things up. But I feel like that's the most noticeable example I've seen of a crowd dictating how the match is going to go. Like they were planning to do one thing and the crowd was like, no, 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 no. We want our nostalgia and he's coming back. And I think they adjusted on the fly so much so that after the match, and Hogan had like cracked ribs going into that or re-aggravated it. He had to, and there's a story he tells about where Vince is like, you got to get the red and yellow. We got to have the red and yellow for tomorrow, Monday Night Raw. And meanwhile, they're in Toronto and Hogan's like, my stuff is in Florida. I know exactly where it is. Like Vince was going to send somebody to send him to get Hogan's stuff. And Hogan's like, no, they're never going to find it. Only I know where it is. It's not like we had camera phones where you could just like put the video and be like, where's my stuff? Hogan, I think, flew on Vince's private jet that night, got his stuff, and then scooted back down on the jet and made it to Raw. And I think unveiled like some red and yellow the next night. And it kind of, you know, it did make the NWO kind of like go its own separate ways after that match. But I mean, I got this shirt after his run, and I think he beat Triple H for the title. He held the title for like a month and I think or two, and then Hogan lost to Undertaker. But it was cool to have that nostalgia back. I mean, he was more like a Jimi Hendrix feather boa kind of Hulk Hogan at that time, and he'd come back every so often. And obviously, you know, he ran into some stuff. I mean, my brother-in-law says this thing: when you shine a lot of light, you attract a lot of mosquitoes. And man, between like the stuff he personally had to deal with, but also like just the company you keep is really what will show whether you are going to be successful and thrive in life or you will be held back. And when he was on the Hogan's Knows Best show on VH1, like it started out so cute, kind of like the Osbournes. It's ironic, you know, like both had these reality shows that kind of got them into like a second generation of attention. And, you know, it was fun, like him being a dad and the daughter doing her thing. And, you know, the son and Linda she seemed like, you know, normal reality mom. But by the end of that show, man, he was writing poems about like his family's falling apart. And, you know, soon after that, you know, he divorced from Linda. And it just like, it felt like that show was like the first thing that like kind of knocked him down a peg. So I feel like he kind of maybe had some bad people in his circle at that time. And then like to be in such a bad space where, you know, you get in that Gawker situation. And I mean, I'm not going to forgive him for what he was caught saying on a recording. I mean, can I give him the benefit of the doubt that that's just how he grew up and that's just what he said? I mean, I'm not necessarily going to give him that. I could see where he's coming from, but uh, again, he's stuck in a cesspool. He was stuck in a cesspool for a lot of the later part of his life. Had a second marriage, then got married a third time to someone who seemed to be, all right for him. And they, I think, were, I had some people that were like friends of friends that knew the third wife, and he, discovered faith, which I always think is a net positive in life. And I think when he spoke at the Republican National Convention, which, you know, obviously whatever convention you watch, it's a bit of a a takeoff of itself. But seeing him like do his shtick on the stage in front of like, these are in the audience now are the people that kind of grew up to him, and they were just all into it. Like, even if you saw backstage, like Mike Johnson, who's the Speaker of the House, he went up to him like to personally make sure he's like, you meant so much to me growing up. And you just never know who the people are that are inspired by him, whether it's, someone that looks like Mike Johnson, or, someone that's, just regular person out on the street, or just, some teacher. You just don't know. And he is a global phenomenon. And yeah, I wear a few rips, a few bands, but I wear this Hulkamania one. I've worn it for like every day for like months. So I'm gonna keep wearing it. And I love wearing this Immortal shirt. I got this from his shop in Clearwater. He got to, he's always up for meeting the fans. And I thought he was a good stable point for a lot of, wrestling fans, because he stuck around. Obviously, he's around for a long time, when a lot of people he fought like passed away kind of early, but he stuck around and kind of knew the lay of the land. And maybe not every business decision was perfect with him. And obviously there was some controversial moments. It's a shame, like his last, I think, popular appearance was, the Netflix debut of Monday Night Raw. But I mean, I think, what it comes down to is this guy defined an industry, and it made a huge impact on me personally. And I'm forever grateful to like him being alive at the same time he was. I think that's the cool thing about pop culture and the people that are around us now. We get to be alive in this lifetime at the same time as these people. And hopefully the family's doing well. Hopefully, people, he's getting the tributes as he should online. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be cheeky, like, interesting about it. It's interesting. Like, with Ric Flair, man, he endured. Ric Flair endured, and Vince McMahon endured. But I think Hogan probably had, there's so many back to go in under the knife that many times in life. And, Hogan had his leg broken the first time he tried to learn to wrestle. I think the teacher in Japan intentionally broke his leg, just because, like, Hard Knocks, the school of Hard Knocks. So this definitely hurts a lot. And hopefully enough of this made sense. And those are some observations I had of Hulk. It would have been nice to met him and shake his hand, but I've watched enough of those interactions secondhand where I feel like I got it. And yeah, he's hopefully, on to the next adventure, brother. What you gonna do when the immortal Hulk Hogan runs wild on you? All right. Hopefully this was fair enough for you guys. And you just never know what Evan says is going to have in store.